Doo-doo-doo. Welcome to a little stream. It will be a very short and sweet. I can't imagine full training day today. Welcome to a Remembrance Day special, and with regards to our lost airfields, this is an airfield packed with history, predating the Second World War, played a major role, and it has a sort of like an indirect link to the de Havilland Mosquito as well here. For those that may know from my little intro into the history of the Mosquito, and what actually won the race here in 1934. Got a KC-135 Stratotanker of the 351st Air Refeuling Squadron, which is of course a squadron of the 100th Air Refueling Wing. 25 miles away from here is their original home of their European Theatre of Operations, Thorpe Abbott, Station 139. The bloody 100th. That's who they are today, still flying the tail marking the square D. And yeah, this will be a little stream. I was in the area. I needed to do some footage today, and I thought, well, you know, I'll set up, and you never know. You just never know. And here we are with a. If this is all we're going to get today, that's fine. We'll get to see something for you. Ted Coningsby channel live here at RAF Mildenhall. Welcome to the show. Got a KC-135 taxi holding point, and they've requested runway 28. Runway 10 is in use. The aerodrome is open. So my original plan was to head for Brize Norton today, but it's looking a bit bashful there, a bit emotional with regards to the weather, being a 2.5 hour drive. But I needed to do some footage today on this special day, and here we are. We may have, fingers crossed, all is well for departure. So you can see the Pappy lights, quite rightly there. Welcome to the show. So yeah, runway 10 is in use, but of course it does need clearance with tower, and it's been cleared, of course, for a 28 departure. Wind blowing quite strong from the south at 120 degrees or so. Pretty strong. Sorry, 185 degrees. Sorry, that was at gusting at 12 knots. Sorry about that. That was my bad. I got that wrong. So it's kind of blowing just slightly southwest, just very, very slightly. How do they say? Southwest. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Remembrance Day special. It's going to be a short stream. I'm going to go for about an hour and just to see what we're going to catch. And I was in the area. I needed to do some footage for some future projects in the area. So here we are. Welcome to the show. Vina, Alan Burden, Hank for Huel, the Flying Duke, Remco, Margot, Blocks. Got Fat Cat, Gary, Synchrotones. Hope we're all well. Good morning from Louisiana. How you doing? Hope you're good. Okay, here we go. Line up and wait. On the Osprey scene, there's only just the one parked up. Okay, here we go. KC-135, here we go. dear. Well, this is... as soon as I saw the speed brakes go up, it didn't sound too good. Well, oh dear. Aborted takeoff. Just give me 1 second. Let me just go and have a little listen into my radio just really quickly to see what's going on. Something's up. Okay, so good news, and I'll give you the update. So there appear to be some birds on the runway, and it will go back round again for another takeoff. So there's nothing wrong with the aircraft. So I'm guessing the AWCU will move in. I mean, that's just you know, that is perception right there, because it's all very well having bird control, but you can make things worse. So, you know, we're watching the professionals right here, right now, doing, you know, the real world. This is amazing, because if you scare the birds, it could make it worse. You've got to make that judgment. So that was a really good call. Abort the takeoff, get the AWCU on the case in this instance, and all is happy. Everything's fine. So there we go. So we got to see it taxi a little bit more for us. So there we go. Well, not for us, but you know what I mean. For viewing purposes for us anyway. So that was the reason for the so not a tech issue, which is that was interesting. Aborted takeoff due to the birds. They must have seen them at the last minute and pulled out. So that was really good judgment, really good. You know, that eagle eye of the pilot. You know, you've got to be switched on 24/7, and this again proves the case. If you're not familiar with the terminology, a sterile cockpit. This is for civilian as well as airliners and military, because sterile cockpit is literally zero chit chat. Of course, anything to do with the actual flight or the controls, the checks, that's fine. A sterile cockpit is anything not related to the flight and departure. is a negative on chat until you reach 10,000 feet, and it's done for safety. And I recall a sort of an experiment, and I think it was done with nurses, 50-50 for example, and they had to do a particular job, one almost like a sterile cockpit, and the other just general chit chat about what they were doing yesterday, did they have a good time on the weekend, that kind of thing. And they completely proved the point that those that had the sterile cockpit were able to do their job 100%, whereas the others was not. So there we go. So it's called sterile cockpit. It is in a manual, and especially for the US Air Force and the whole aviation world does practice sterile cockpit. So a good call from the pilot there. This is was not expecting that, so you got to see that live. Maybe a lot of you are rewinding it to see the birds on the runway, perhaps. Maybe they were just sat there and were worried there could be a collision, because birds into into an engine, that's it. That is the end, and a lot of damage. And of course, not only that, you have potential of harming human beings as well. So this is the gas station of the skies. On the rear, it can have a boomstick or a pipe with the probe. The drogue, sorry, the basket. And it can also be equipped with 2 additional pods for refueling in a drogue and probe way. So the pods, which we spoke about on our last time I think we were here. Talking about an aircraft that has been in service since the 50s, introduced in June 1957, developed from the Boeing 367-80, and a couple of variants of it being the Boeing C-135 Stratolifter. First flight 31st of August 1956, and it literally is the gas station of the skies, a legacy that's still going. Well, that was a little bit of excitement there, but of course a dangerous one as well, and a bird collision, a bird strike avoided, so well done to the crew. So we get to hang around with the KC-135 for a bit longer. Thought that would have been it for the day, but there we go. From 1957. Way over 60 years then of continuous service. And of course it was supplemented and paired up with the KC-10 extender, for those that remember those. Lovely, lovely. I miss the sound of those. Its successor being the KC-46 Pegasus. And starting in 1950, the US Air Force operated the world's first production of aerial tankers, the Boeing KC-97. The piston engine Boeing Stratocruiser, C-97 Strato Freighter, The Stratocruiser itself was developed from the Boeing B-29. Had a particular gasoline kerosene fuel system. During the Cold War, it would be the earlier KC-135As would be up in the skies refueling the likes of the B-52, which were operated by the Strategic Air Command. And like always, when it comes to designs, there's always a competition, and the winner gets really the contract. And in 1954 we had the United States Air Force's Strategic Air Command. They held that very competition for a jet-powered area refueling tanker, being the KC-97s. Oh, thanks for letting me know about the thumbnail. We are definitely 11/11, definitely Remembrance Day. So we just travelled, we've just time travelled to the 11th, just like that. Ted Coningsby's his Nikos and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Love that. All right, let's attempt number 2. Luckily, it wasn't anything. Well, saying that, I was going to say it wasn't a tech issue. To our Remembrance Day, it's like a pit stop special. So we're just gonna wait for this, and hopefully this.
You're gonna be wasting your time here today, mate. You're gonna be wasting your time here today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm just gonna catch this, and
it's Veterans Day.
Yeah, I thought I'd catch this departure here while we're in, and I'll. Cheers, buddy. Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely right. There's nothing really going on here today, but I thought while I'm in the area, I thought I'll just catch this while we're here. Takeoff, wasn't it? looks like we've got an arrival as well. We're in a little bit of luck. Like I said, I'm not expecting, like, you know, like a regular day. Hobo 20 Reluctant Dragon on the way in as well, and hopefully it's a runway 10 like it normally is. That would be quite nice just to catch those. I mean, it's better than nothing, isn't it? We've had days where we've seen literally one aircraft and that was it, so this would be quite good. No, one in and one out. Well, one out, one in. Or we've had 2 movements today, and an aborted takeoff, sorry, oh dear, an aborted takeoff, and due to birds on the runway. It's all exciting stuff here. And this is our squadron leader, Ted Coningsby. My name's Nikos. I'm your cameraman, historian and commentator. Here he is. And of course it is, as you heard, it is Veterans Day today as well, as Remembrance Day. And Armistice. And of course, lest we forget to all veterans, those that have served, those that have been fortunate to wear it and to be able to take it off, veterans who were able to wear the uniform and to be able to hang it up, veterans who weren't able to take it off. Lest we forget those veterans that weren't able to take their uniform off. And of course those that follow on the footsteps, today's armed forces, who follow on that legacy, whether on the land, sea or air, lest we forget. So for those that don't know the story behind the Square D, I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second. It's a bit windy, but I'll do my best. ladies, gents, teddy bears. Hope we're all good and well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you a little bit about markings. Oh, also before I start on that, I did find, I'll take a photo of it tonight if I can remember, I found some biplanes with the British flag on them. This was before roundels, okay, and it's pretty interesting because anything to do with the markings, Second World War, anything like that, you can always drop me a question, send it in via email. I don't always get to see it on the chat room, so I do apologise. But of course, the structure is what I'm talking about. And someone asked me a very good question, and it was live on the stream, about the squadron numbers or the bomb group numbers. Are they in any particular order? And yes, you know, if you look at the Royal Flying Corps from back to the days of the Royal Flying Corps, you will see that you know, 1912, you will see, how we do. My name's Nikos, cameraman and historian and commentator. You will see that there are earlier numbers. They literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're almost in order. Now, don't forget, on the United States were pretty much neutral, although they were making the earlier B-17s, and the idea to go into the whole complex of structuring the Air Force, the 12th Air Force, the 8th Air Force, the 9th Air Force, and so on, the 3rd Air Force, and so on. There wasn't a complete structure, to my knowledge, yet until the aviation, the first aviation objective, which happened in January of 1941. The first aviation objective. These were 54 units that were activated, and it was pretty much restructured, and which is why you'll find a lot of the fighter squadrons and the would start to be swapped around and things like this, and that's why you end up having all these certain numbers come about. But I'll tell you, let's concentrate on the 8th Air Force. Okay, now what it is, you're going to get an Air Force, okay, and then below that, in this structure, below that you've got the divisions of the 8th Air Force: 1, 2, and 3. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I will explain how to identify them on an aircraft. Once you've got your divisions, then each division have their wings, and those wings of each division have their groups. Okay, I'm going to show you the hierarchy or the structure, don't you worry, and then each group has squadrons. Now, fighter squadrons of the 8th Air Force had 3 fighter squadrons, and if you remember when we talked to you about the history of RAF Lakenheath, they began with 4 squadrons, and due to the fact that they were progressing and evolving into a fighter squadron, I believe that's why they moved the 495th, because they had 4 squadrons at the time, and they moved them to the 407th, and like I've totally forgot to check the 407th group, the fighter group, so I need to check whether they did have 4 squadrons or they only had 2 and 1 moved, etc. I am conscious of Hobo 20 that's coming. I think it's Hobo 20. So there we go. And then once you've got your squadrons, okay, so bomb squadrons as well, there was usually around 4, maybe 5. You could have a bit more. With the bomb squadrons itself, you can go even further and have A to Z flights. You can have a certain amount of flights, because there were indeed a certain amount of... do you know what? I have actually forgotten how many... that's fine, thanks Davey, cheers for that, still got time. I do have, I'm going to show you the structure. I'm going to show you it. Here we go. I'm going to have a look at, let's have a little look at this. This will make more sense if I show you my little trusty diagrams, like I love showing you all. Right, here we go. This is one of them. It's nice that the right, I'm going to show you this. Now, it might be a little bit bright, so maybe we'll just tone that down over here a little bit. Is that better? Is that worse? Let's that might be better this way, yes. So that's what we were talking about: Air Force, Air Division, a wing, group, squadron. Now, the 1st Air Division had a triangle, so you may have seen B-17s with the triangle and a letter. I'll explain the letter in a moment. Circle was the 2nd Air Division. This is 8th Air Force, okay? 8th Air Force there, 8th of Bomber Command, and a square. We've got a square here, okay? So now you know the square means that it's part of the 3rd Air Division. Okay, it's just a little bit about roundels. I've got a whole colour version of this I'm going to show you. I'm just in the mix of just finishing it off, but you'll find this a roundel with the red meatball. That was from 1919, but again, depending where you're operating, sometimes the enemy has a red circle, so they emit it. And in May on the 15th, 1942, the meatball had gone. There was no red dot. This was blue with a white star. They did have the red bar around this at one point, June 43 to August 43, but they got rid of it, and the reason for the bar was to boost the visibility. Here's a couple that I've got. Now each air division, okay, so here's a couple there. K for that was a Kim Bolton, interestingly, with the K. It's easy to remember that one. That was the 379th bomb group. The D is the 100th bomb group. The Z or Z is the 491st bomb group. Usually the circle was on B-24 Liberators. Each air division, okay, so the 3rd Air Division had their own fighter wing looking after them. Now you've all remember Ramrod. Now, so basically Thorpe Abbott's 100th bomb group were looked after by the 66th fighter wing, and the groups are the 55th, 78th, 339th, 353rd and the 357th fighter group. Let's see what else I've got here to show you. Maybe this will be a little bit more. I've got the whole set here of the triangle. So again, the triangle, 1st Air Division, right? There we go, look. And I've got the wing there for you to help you understand the wing. So let's have a look at our 351st from today. I did a Lost Airfields, the Triangle J. They were the 351st, and they were part of the 94th Bomb Wing. Okay, let's have a little look, a little bit more. Got a few more bits and pieces for you, so I'm going to show you a little bit more. Goodness me, the wind is the wind is blowing a bit of a gust at the moment. There's a little bit more. This is the 2nd Air Division. So again, 2nd Air Division that we've covered. The H there, they were part of the 20th Bomb Wing, the 446. We've covered them as well. And here's a little bit more details. The 65th Fighter Wing we're looking after with their fighter groups, and then of course you've got the wings. Amazing. And this is a little bit of detail about the markings there, and just putting them into a bit more perspective. They were done at random, and I'm going to tell you another thing that you may not have known. So there's all our bomb groups of the 2nd Air Division, because it's a circle. And let's have a little look what else we've got here. There you go, the 492nd bomb group, and these are the fighters that looked after them. Yes, so you may have noticed, and I'm going to tell you after I've shown you all the squares in a moment. This will, hopefully this is information that you'll find useful. There it is, there's the Air Force. Here you go. I thought I had this. So each bomb group had 35 to 45 aircraft, and each squadron 140 to 180 personnel. Pretty cool, isn't it? That's how you'd write them on there. Echo Papa, I put Echo Papa because that's the 351st. That was their markings here. Let's have a little look, a little bit more, just a few more markings. What else have I got on the back of that? Have I got anything interesting? No. So what I'm going to do, so I hope you found that a little bit useful. So this leaves me then, so the D was the 100th, and they were based not far away from here, the Bloody 100th. Now they were nicknamed the Bloody 100th not because they lost the most in total, but it's the most that they've lost in any one mission. And they're not far, it's at this, Thorpe Abbott's, and it was station 139. Now you're probably thinking, what's with the number? And it's okay, so we're not far away now. So why the change in number? Well, I'll tell you this now. There's a few things. Who remembers when I tried to pronounce Arkansas? I had no idea it was pronounced Arkansas. And what did I say? Good old Nikos with his pronunciation goes Arkansas. Oh, sorry about that. That's the problem. There are things around the world that aren't always pronounced in the way they just look. So when the US Army Air Force had a station designated to them, and it was around about 150 stations here in England, they decided to omit the name itself. They'll have markings, so you'll have, if you look at the tower, where you have the wind, the wind T, it'll be called, you'll see a TA for Thorpe Abbots. They would have a designated code. However, they decided, for a few reasons, to change it to their own number, like Station 110, which was today. We also had Station 139, which is Thorpe Abbots. Why did they do that? A few things. One, security, okay, because they felt that it was a lot more secure just to call it a number, hence their randomness of shapes and letters. The other thing is pronunciation. A lot more of an administrative due care, and pronunciation was another thing, because there are instances as well as administrative and even spelling as well. So this is a fact. So this is the reason behind changing the name to having a number. So there you go. Thought you might like that one. So, one more movement, I think, then. It's alright, isn't it? A landing. And hopefully from runway 10 would be nice. Gary, how you doing? Airwind, Jojo Ilot, Alex Blackcap, Wee Stevie Boy, Alan Bird and Davey. How's it going? Alan Q, thank you very much. Captain A. Isn't there a place near here? I mean, I feel sorry for anyone that makes the same mistake. Is it Wyndham? And it's pronounced it's pronounced Wyndham, isn't it? There it is, and it's spelled W-Y-M-O-N-D-H-A-M. Now, it's not a criticism. It's just another example of when things aren't always pronounced the way they're spelled. I mean, I made the mistake of going Wymondham, or was it? Yeah, Wymondham, and it's Wyndham. There you go. So imagine coming from another country, trying to land and do your operations, and landing at, Wyndham, for example, when it's spelled Wymondham, you probably get that absolutely wrong. Oh, hopefully it's not landing at 2.8. Let's have a look. Be nice to get a 1-0. Reach 817, is that coming here? Who knows? Let's have a quick look. Could be good, I have no idea. Oh, you never know. Come on. Any Ospreys on the deck? Only a dead spider, as I've called it. It just reminds me of a dead spider. You know when the spiders just look like they, yeah. There's only that, and there's one sort of sneakily just there, unfortunately. So there's not going to be any Osprey action today. In fact, having that KC-135 was a bit of a bonus, really. have a KC-135 on approach here, ready to land. Just trying to establish what runway is in use. Come on, it's just going over Bury St Edmunds. It's looking good for our ILS on runway 10. Looking good. So it should be just behind me very shortly. So we really need that C-17 to literally hit a nice sharp left. There it is, I can see it now. Before it gets in that cloud, quickly, Nikos. So that's going to go as far out as Soham, Ely, and do a nice turn right. Up with that in 1 second. Oh, thought it just turned left then. Please don't turn left. Well, it is as well, isn't it? Or is it? Or is ADSB just having a moment? I think ADSB is having a moment. about the C-17. Never mind. It was worth a shot. It was worth a go, wasn't it? Yeah, so if you can hear a constant siren in the background, there's some works going on. Oh, perfect. There you go, let's see. It's one of those cement mixers that lift up, and I think that's the noise that you can hear as it's moving up. RAF C-17 that you can see with call sign Black Cat. Very interesting. They were the first to operate the Vickers Wellington here, 99 Squadron, the first ever squadron to operate here in November of 1934 that they first came in with the Handley Page Hayford bombers. Amazing. And interestingly, their World War II their squadron markings was actually Lima, November, and it always reminds me of Lakenheath, because Lakenheath was one of a few satellite stations of Mildenhall. Mildenhall was the main station. It was one of the largest bomber command stations of the country, not the biggest, but one of, and it had Tuddenham, Lakenheath, and Newmarket Heath as their satellite stations. You remember RAF Coningsby had RAF Woodhall Spa as its satellite station. Satellite station is almost like having an extension to your aerodrome, but having it somewhere else, or having extra runways elsewhere so you can operate. Sometimes you can have a holding where you can have extensions or any works done to your main runway, and actually have your operating squadrons at your satellite stations, or if you want to have a sort of like a training squadrons from your various B or C flights, you can, so that they can train up on future aircraft that are coming here. Okay, here we go. ILS runway 10, full stop. Okay, a little bit cloudy for me to get a visual on the landing light, but if I do see it, I'll get it for you. Okay, let's get ready for it. That's what you could hear with the siren over there. One of those things. So here we go, get ready. Somewhere out there, about 8 miles out. We are in the Nook campsite. You don't have to be a patron, as in someone that's staying on the campsite, to come to the viewing area, although there is a charge. It is only, and I mean only, £2 per person. How good is that? There is a toilet as well provided, but do adhere to the times, because they've changed again on entry. where the gate is. There is a where you pay your £2 per person, and there is the latest times. I believe now this time of year it's 1600, which is fair enough because the sun sets at 1600 or 1610 today. Here we go, here it is. This will be quite a nice catch. Beautiful, nice to see that. A bonus movement that I was not expecting. There we go. I'm just going to keep an eye on the skies just for a minute, see if there's anything else. But hey, bonus, right? 2 movements. control unit, doing more checks up and down the runway, making sure it's all safe, sweet and neat, lovely. You never know. You just never know. Sat down there, what's going on? Is that? It's the same one, isn't it? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was going to head southwest today, but it didn't look very inviting. So here I am, here back in Suffolk. Have a quick cup of tea before I finish up for the day, which it's been good today, really. It's nice to see that. just see what Black Cat 832 is going to do. Just see what happens with Black Cat. You never know. See, I can't see us being here too long now, but nevertheless, we'll just see what Black Cat's going to do. You never know. It might come here, you never know. It might be doing some circuits. So I'll just pop that there a minute. Some waterproofs on, I think. So for those that don't know, just really quickly, because I don't know how, I don't think we're going to be here very long, and just see what the intentions are of the C-17 Black Cat, Royal Air Force Call Sniper 99 Squadron, who were the first, oh, looks like it's landed. Landed at Honington by the look of it. Okay, interesting. Okay, well there's, that's literally just summed up what we're going to do. We're going to just finish up by the sound of it. And just really quickly, I was going to just let you know that Mildenhall, built in 1934. For those that like a bit of history before we finish off, I'll just give you a little bit of it. Yeah, built 16th of October 1934, and it was actually 4 days later the Mac Robertson, the famous Royal Aero Club air race. I know, right? 11,000 miles. It was Mildenhall to Melbourne, and it was the de Havilland's 88 Comet, DH-88 Comet Grosvenor House, which still flies today at Shuttleworth. Amazing, right? 71 hours, and it won, and it was made out of wood, and that, my friends, it proves the point of the success, the power to weight, the formidable first ever multi-role fighter was indeed the de Havilland Mosquito. And 99 Squadron, first to operate here with the Handley Page Hayford bomber with a 2,500 pound payload. Could do 142 miles per hour, but it was kind of like the end of the legacy. It didn't see any operational it didn't have any operational combat use, the Hayford, although two things I will add. One, it was used for training, and two, good old Robert Watson Watt used it for the test, the final, or the first ever test for the chain home to detect enemy aircraft approaching, which then led on to the Dowding radar system and etc. So that's the aircraft that was used. Let me just turn that down. And of course the 99 Squadron were also joined by 38 Squadron, and it was indeed the Wellingtons up next, the Vickers Wellington that was here dominating the skies of Ely, Cambridgeshire, Suffolk. This whole region was literally Wellington bombers, and it resonates a lot here, as well as felt well as well, which is not too far. It'd be about 10 miles in this direction, the backwards crow flying. And one of the things I will add is in 1941, when Lakenheath was finally complete with its operational squadrons, 149 in November 1941 transitioned to the short Stirling bomber. And although it was the first Royal Air Force 4-engine bomber, because that was the plan, to kind of step away from twin-engine bombers which didn't really have the power. But did you know that the Royal Air Force actually had a Air Ministry specification? It was B-12-36, and the first ever that was going to be produced was actually a Supermarine, but the Air Ministry specification gave it to both Supermarine and the short Stirling to compete. And if you remember, like I said earlier about competing for which one we're going to choose, is very important. I'll show you, I don't have one because I'll tell you the story. The nearest I can find, it was going to be called there was a Supermarine 317. That's right. Now, why am I showing you a B-17? I know it's a B-17, I get that. However, this is the closest I can find to the two prototypes. Now, Supermarine with Reginald J. Mitchell, the main designer of Supermarine, they designed the first 4-engine bomber, shall we say, as opposed to a prototype. But while this was going on, specification B-12-36, the Short brothers were also building their own, the S-29. Didn't have a name just yet, but it was, of course, called the Short Stirling. Now, this Supermarine 316 had another idea of having a Supermarine 317. What are the differences? Well, there was going to be an even more powerful Supermarine 318, I know, with even more powerful engines, but they found it was too powerful, so they went with a 317 Supermarine, and the 318 was going to have the Merlin engines, but they stopped, and they ended up having, I believe, Bristol Hercules engines on the 317. It had to have a particular specification. The Air Ministry specification, because they wanted to keep some of the aircraft maybe to a particular, so they weren't too big. It was got nothing to do with the hangars, because hangars could go up to 120 to 140 feet. So the myth about the short Stirling having a shorter wingspan was nothing to do with the hangars, but it was on the Air Ministry specification to say no more than 100 feet, just to keep, you know, the designs a little bit more sort of, you know, manageable, shall we say, I think. But it had to have a particular amount of power, had to have a particular amount of range. The Supermarine 317 had a speed of predicted, there was two prototypes made, 325 to 360 miles per hour. It could cruise at 260. It could have a service ceiling of an amazing 39,000 feet. And it had the Bristol Hercules engines. Now, what happened? Well, sadly, two things happened. One, the main thing, the two prototypes were destroyed in a raid. All right, the factory was destroyed, and the two Supermarine 317s were destroyed. The main designer passed away, sadly. R.J. Mitchell died of cancer. And that was pretty much it. There was nothing they could do. And the reason why I'm showing you the B-17 is because it was going to look similar to one of these. I'm not too sure about the wing design, maybe, but it looked similar. I've had a look at some earlier pictures. It was allegedly going to look like this, which is why I'm showing you this. So the contract, in the end, thanks to those events, the contract was given to the Short brothers, and of course they built the S-29, which is indeed the Short Stirling bomber. Now I've got this massive Short Stirling bomber here, with the, look at this, it's my Short Stirling bomber. This is a 149 Squadron, and a very special one indeed, with the Bristol Hercules engines. August 1940, here it is. Look at this. Number 7 Squadron were the first to operate this at RAF Leeming, August 1940, with a 282 miles per hour. I thought this was a modern thing. It did have a 99-foot wingspan, length of a shocking 87.3 feet. I don't have the gear on this one. The reason for nearly having 7 meters, because it was so big and heavy, the angle of attack wasn't enough to give it lift. So this is why it's got a massive height from basically the cockpit to the front to the front gig. You know, those beautiful engines. But look at the 14,000 payload. Look at that, 14,000 pounds of payload. Now here's another problem with the Sterling. These two dividers caused a bit of a problem. The RAF were making bigger bombs than 2,000 pounders. If you're going to make a heavy bomber, you need to have the right gear to take, right? They were making 4,000 pound cookies, 6,000, 8,000, 12,000 pound tall boys, and of course the 22,000 pounder. You could not fit anything heavier or bigger than a 2,000 pounder. That was a bit of a design flaw, and the thing is, to a point where the Short brothers didn't actually modify this. They had these really cool bomb doors here, and the other amazing thing, which I thought was quite modern, was the gouge flaps here. When it had enough lift, this could retract and get more speed, and it was able to be very maneuverable. In fact, it feels quite good actually doing this. But there we go. This is what I was doing today, filming this. So there we go. I mean, you can imagine it in the skies here. It was operating here. Right, I think that is us done, ladies, gents, teddy bears. Sadly, I think we are good to finish. I think there we go, a little bit of Ted Coningsby history there. And of course, a year later we had the Halifax, and then the Lancaster. Right, just get our squadron leader and we'll just finish up. Well, there we go. And Gary, thank you very much for the super chat. Guards march to you. Ali Leyland, a single poppy with no words can say so much. Absolutely, thank you very much. Debbie Solkin with 6-month membership. Thank you for having me on here. I love every minute of it. And good news, I don't have lung cancer. Well done. And from all of us, thanks for letting us know. Margot, thank you very much for the super sticker. Wayne L. Goog 1, 30 months membership. Lest we forget, always be our heroes in our eyes. Alan Q, thanks for the super. Gary Devanch, Hilaire, the DT experiment, member for 20 months. Always Ted Squadron. Wee Stevie Boy, thanks for the super. Hugs for Wee Margot. Steve Evans, thank you very much for the 37 months membership. And Stephen Billings, Air Godzilla with 25 months membership. It's that time of month again, absolutely. Right, ladies, gents, teddy bears, thank you very much for tuning in on this tiny little Remembrance Day stream. And we are done. Thank you very much. So, RAF Mildenhall, thank you very much for today. And also, to all our veterans, thank you very much. And those that have served, will always remember, thank you very much. So, for the last time for today, my name's Nikos, cameraman, historian and commentator. This is our squadron leader, Ted Coningsby. You've been watching the Ted Coningsby channel live here at RAF Mildenhall. So, it is time. See you soon. Wish you well. See ya.
Golf India, Brize Norton, right into an 814.